What is up, Sweep the League Nation? We made it to another week. 11 days till Christmas. I cannot believe I haven't got my Christmas shopping started yet. But Will, being the great guy he is, he probably already has. But welcome to another episode of Sweep the League.
This
This is another great episode of Sweep the League. And we got a lot to talk about. We got Rams coming Super Bowl favorites overnight. We got Dallas squeaking by with the Washington football team. Got COVID breaking out. Oh, one other thing. History was made tonight with Steph Curry becoming the all-time three-point leading in threes made. And he did in 700 less games than Ray Allen, or 500 games. It's ridiculous what he's accomplished. But we'll get into that a little bit more. And also later on, here in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to have RJ Ochoa. He is the chief editor and everything you need to know with Blogging the Boys. We'll have everything ready for you right there and then with a lot of cowboy talk, a lot of things like that. I'm trying to get a lot more guests in, but, man, let me get through these sponsorships real quick, and let's just get started with it because we got a lot to talk about tonight. We want to thank the guys at United Collision Care Center. Remember, holiday season travel. You have something wrong with your car, go take it to Lewis and those guys at United Collision Care Center. They'll have you in and out faster than you can say Steph Curry breaking a three-point record tonight, baby, because he broke that thing fast. Also, you can go to their website if you want to check out the rates and everything. Go to www.unitedcollisionstexas.com or just give them a phone call at 210-595-6413. Go to check out United Collision Care Center. They'll have you in and out in no time. Also, DraftKings. Remember, it's never too late to sign up for DraftKings now using the promo code TPPN to get account ready for today. Also, go to www.draftkings.com/sweeptheleague because guess what? It's never too late to order because what I like about DraftKings is you can just – it's one day. It's one day. And then you can erase and start all over again. You have to worry about your lineups, your fantasy. I know playoffs are starting in a lot of leagues and stuff, but, man, go to DraftKings. You can – football, basketball, cricket, NASCAR, IndyCar, golf, anything. Go to DraftKings right now to get started today. And then also Project Spurs, man. Go follow those guys over there on Twitter, Project Spurs, because they'll have everything you need to know with that's going on with the Spurs, all the data, all the stats, everything there is that you need to know Spurs-wise. Their podcast is great. Everything's great. Just go check them out. It's a great follow. That's who I follow for all my Spurs need and everything. All right, I guess Gio's doing another thing tonight. I don't know what he's doing, but I was hoping he would be on because his Rams – I was actually going to talk great about them, but now I'm going to talk crap about them. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later. Will, how's your night going so far?
It's going well. Getting some stuff done around the house. Made dinner. Finishing up the plans for the rest of the week to fix stuff around the house and paint walls. Good family stuff before the holidays.
That's one thing good about renting.
Nothing fancy. Well, yeah, but you got the what is it called? The paper stuff. Got that off our kitchen walls finally. So,
all right. Well, let's get into it tonight. We got a lot to talk about, man. I want to talk about this. I know it's football season, playoffs are ramping up and everything, but we got to talk about this. Steph Curry becomes the all-time threes leader tonight, passing Ray Allen. He's going to hit, I don't know, he's going to hit like 6,000 before his career is over. I don't know if his record's ever going to be touched. What I want to ask you, Will, is Steph Curry the greatest shooter of all time?
Yeah. I mean, he's the person who changed the game. He's the one that brought back the three-point shooting. I mean, he's got to be the best shooter. I mean, he's the first one that started taking half-court shots, logo shots, and making them on a regular basis. I mean, I started following him. I mean, I remember when he was at Davidson making his run in the tournament. But, I mean, I followed his career. He's young enough, flashy enough with everything that he's done. I mean, I followed the Warriors when Durant was there. But, I mean, he's there's a reason why they take more three-pointers than two-pointers in the NBA now. And it's all because of him.
Well, he's definitely transcended the game, right? He's definitely made, like, you got to guard this guy as soon as he crosses half court. There's shots that he makes is ridiculous, and then people fall in love with his 3-point shot making, which they should. But people are underestimating how great of a finisher he is at the rim, at the mid range. If he's not reliant on the 3-point shot like a lot of players are. If you take away I'll take that easy to pull up shot for two. He can hit anywhere in the lane, mid range, 3-point, half court, other free throw line, whatever the case, 50 feet out, whatever the case may be. Steph Curry can do that, and he's helped like not young guy, but smaller players that aren't 6'6" or 6'7", like can't jump and stuff like that. He's showing you can be in this league. I mean, Muggsy Bogues did his thing, but Steph Curry's become an elite superstar and probably the best player right now. I'm saying right now. I'm not saying all the time. I'm saying right now in the league today. Maybe Kevin Durant. You can argue Kevin Durant too, but Steph Curry's just the way his size and the way he plays defense now. He's making it easy, not easy, but he's making it easy for guys like Trae Young and all these other short players who are not the tallest guys in the world, and they can easily come in the league and shoot. As long as you can shoot a 3-point shot in today's league, man, you have nothing. You can make it anywhere. Steph Curry has done that, and the way he's done it with class and persona. I mean, you can't really say yes. He had that one bad episode in the finals in Game 3 or 4 against Cleveland. He threw the mouthpiece and hit Dan Gilbert's son in the mouth or the whatever. But other than that, man, the guy's been class certified. He's a family man. He does it on and off the court. He gives every 3-point shot that he makes. He donates nets to Africa for all the mosquitoes and stuff that has all those diseases. So Steph Curry, congratulations to you. I think you're the greatest shooter of all time. I don't know if you can call it. Can we just get rid of these positions? Because there's no real positions anymore in basketball. There's really not, because you have Draymond Green playing the center position. Steph Curry's a point guard, but really he's a shooting guard. I mean, anybody can. LeBron James is a power forward, but yeah, he brings it up. I mean, so let's just get rid of positions. Steph Curry, one of the greatest players you'll ever see in your lifetime, and congratulations to you. I'm very proud of to say that. I followed him at Davidson. And for one last thing, Davidson, can you please retire this guy's jersey? I don't care if he graduated or not. That's the stupidest rule in the world. He made you on the map. He brought you to. I mean, on that Davidson team, he's the only guy who played pro after they got done with their collegiate career. No one else was on that team. I think there's one other player that's playing overseas or something like that. But other than that, Steph Curry is the only player on that. That just shows you how great when they made it to the Elite Eight and fell short against Kansas. So, congratulations. All right. It's football season. We're hitting the nitty-gritty, baby. We'll have RJ Ochoa on here in a minute to give a Dallas Cowboy take. But I want to talk about this COVID outbreak in the Rams, the Lions, Browns. Everyone's getting hit right now. We're going through this little wave right now. Are you worried that this is going to impact the playoff seeding position, playoff games, stuff like that? Should you be worried as an NFL fan right now?
Absolutely. I mean, I live in Cleveland. I mean, they look like somebody good again. They gave us hope and whatever else last week. And now they have the Raiders. Both teams need a win to keep their hopes alive of the playoff. And the Browns are going to put like 8 people on, I think it's 7, maybe 8 on COVID. And then 2 more, Kareem Hunt and I think it's Wyatt Teller, are going to be playing this week as well, injury. So that's 10 players. You know, Austin Hooper was the only tight end last on the roster. Well, he's out for COVID now. Landry's out for COVID. The only person that seems not to have COVID is Baker Mayfield, and that might be the person to have COVID the way he's been playing lately. You're going to see some games because of COVID, I believe, that are going to make it's going to change the whole dynamics of the AFC, NFC, the way it's looking right now. But the AFC want to get you an extra, another 10-20% in the playoffs. With this number of teams in the hunt in the middle of the pack, it's going to see a difference with COVID outbreak. Excuse me.
if you're one of these top teams right now, let's say like the Buccaneers, the Packers, Cowboys, even the Cowboys had their own issues earlier in the year, but like the Chiefs, the Patriots, teams that are going to make the playoffs, right? You don't wish COVID on anybody, but you kind of wish you have your outbreak now, so when playoffs come, it won't affect you in the playoff games. I'm not saying that it will on anybody, but I'm just saying if you're going to, 95% of these players are vaccinated. So here's my problem: if you're vaccinated and you're showing no symptoms, no nothing, why can't we treat this like regular sickness? Like, why can't they play? You know what I mean? Like, if you're vaccinated, it might sound silly in some people's heads, but in my head, I'm like, well, what's the point of getting vaccinated? You still got to do COVID protocols. You still got to do all this. You have to wear a mask. You have to do contact, like all that. What's the point of being vaccinated? At some point, we're going to have to learn to live with this, and we're going to have to start treating it like it's a common cold. I know it's not, but I'm just saying at some point we're going to have to live with this. But at the same time, we're hoping and praying as NFL fans, NBA. I mean, God, the Rams just had a great victory last night, and now they put half their team on freaking protocol list because Odell Beckham got tested positive, Jalen Ramsey is positive, Higbee is positive, and then they all flew home together on a plane. So you're having outbreaks here and there, especially with this new variant. But at the same time, that they're saying that this new variant is not as contagious as the Delta variant, right? So at the same time, like, I just think that at some point in our lives, we're going to have to live with this. We're just going to have to do it, and we're just going to have to treat it like anything else. It sucks, but that's just the world we're living in now.
I mean, I totally agree, but I feel like as long as I don't understand the whole. If you're vaccinated, you just got to have within 3 to 5 days and test, and you're good. You're out of protocol.
You have to have 2 negative.
You don't have to sit out the full whatever days. Yeah. So I mean, there's a possibility. By Saturday for the Browns and whoever, and I can't remember who plays the game on Saturday. But that's a possibility. But it's definitely a good possibility for the Sunday game. Like you said, if it's an outbreak, Odell is showing symptoms today and he tests positive today. That doesn't mean whoever else on the team doesn't get it for another 3 days. You know what I mean? It might take a while for you to have that positive test. That's what I think the problem is, especially if they flew home together on the same plane and the private jet and all that stuff. It's a matter of how quick do you get it. You hope the next day you get it. That means you can get it out of your system and get a negative test within a few days. I mean, look at what happened with Jamal Williams. He tested in the morning. They didn't get back with him until the end of the day. He'd already practiced the whole day with the whole team last week on Friday.
Exactly.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. Higbee and tested Friday morning test, and they're like, "Oh, you're done. Don't go to practice." It's just crazy how it's hitting people. You know, when it hits them, how they hit them, changes plan. I mean, you lose Jalen Ramsey on the D side, that opens up a lot in perspective to how valuable is that defense.
Well, let's talk about. I mean, that's a
just
great.
Like Jamal Williams.
Well, let's talk about that Rams defense and everything. I mean, they played Monday night. We're going to go forward with this. They played the lead, well, at the time, the NFC leading number 1 seed Cardinals, which have a weird, like, they lose more games at home than they do on the road. They're 7-0 on the road and 3-3 at home or something like that. It's something ridiculous like that. But with no Jalen Ramsey, a lot of players, first time rookies started last night. They didn't even start at all. They didn't even know what they were going to get from them on a cornerback position. But that defense, mostly AD, right? Aaron Donald showed up. Floyd, Von Miller, he didn't have a sack, but his presence was known. They made hell for Kyler Murray yesterday. Are the Rams actually the best team in the NFC right now, or do you think that it's still the Patriots and Packers? But are the Rams still do you want to face the Rams if you're any other team in the NFC right now?
I think they're that team that they hover. Like, they could be really good, but show times where they're not good. You just never know what you're going to get from them, I feel like. But they're always hovering underneath top tier spot. The beginning of the season is blown people out of the water and it looked great. And then all of a sudden they hit a bump in the road and they didn't know who they were. And I think they're starting to get back into that groove. They're starting to run the ball a little bit more. Gio's been talking about that they need to run the ball more, and they have into the run. Because obviously opening the run up opens the pass lanes up. We always know Aaron Donald's Defensive Player of the Year. He always has that caliber. He doesn't get the recognition for shedding the double teams, the triple teams that he gets. But he made some great plays. I think up when they need. They're not relying just on score that 40-40 burger every week. This defense is looking like one of those teams that defense that'll, if you score 2 touchdowns, we can win the game for you. So I think they're trending in the right direction, but I still think they're just hovering under that top tier behind the Packers. I think the Cardinals are susceptible to losing to anybody anytime. They're off, it sounds like, not playing at home. Give them the 2 seeds so they can be on the road more or something like that.
I think you have to see more out of Matthew Stafford, right? He had one good game against the Buccaneers when they came to SoFi early in the season. They dominated the Buccaneers. That was early in the season. And then in between that, he was really not doing – he's basically a Dak Prescott right now, right? Like, Dak Prescott is in a major slump right now. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But Stafford was going through that too. But then in a big game, he showed up last night. I think last night was a mirage of, I think, brothers coming together and sticking up for one another with all shorthandedness that they are, me against the world mentality, right? So I have to see this on a week-to-week basis because I just feel like if it keeps going on for the Rams, can McVay keep the ball rolling? Can he keep running the ball? Can he be disciplined enough because you're probably going to, I don't know, Henderson come back. Then you have Sony Michel, who played a great game last night. He has over 200 yards rushing in the last 2 weeks combined. I just don't know if I trust them because it's like hit and miss with them. And what is Matthew Stafford going to do in the playoffs, right? Matthew Stafford is 0-1, and that one loss against the Dallas Cowboys, just mind you. Just sorry for saying that. But he hasn't done anything in playoffs. He really has no playoff experience. So what I'm saying is I just believe the Rams are still wait and see. They still got a tough games. This Seahawks game is no pushover. We all know that the Seahawks come and play no matter who's on the field. It's always a tough battle between those 2 teams in the AFC West. Every game is. It's just always competitive in that nature. So I think it's right now as a playoff seed stands, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round, but yet I kind of do depending on matchup wise because you have them on home. They have to travel to your place. So I would pick still a couple more weeks. We have an extra week this year in the NFL. So I just think that we're going to have to wait and see mentality. Can they keep it up? Is this going to be the same Rams team? Or are they going to fall back? And I wish Gio was here to talk more about it because it's a team he follows them religiously. But the key is Sean McVay is going to have to stick with that run game. And for God's sake, can someone cover Cooper Kupp? How triple team this guy? I don't give a rat's but the guy has over 180 yards receiving. This guy he's looking like Jerry Rice right now, for God's sake. So I don't care. Triple team, do something. I know Odell Beckham Jr. is there, but Odell Beckham Jr. had 77 yards yesterday, blah, 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 whatever. But can you do it consistently? I don't know. He's injury prone. Can the ACL hold up? Van Jefferson is not Robert Woods by any stretch of the imagination. They're asking to do Robert Woods kind of things. So that offense is going to have to rely on that run game. And can Sean McVay be disciplined enough to do it? We saw it yesterday, but can he be disciplined for the next 4 weeks? That's what I want to see.
It's trusting Darrell Henderson if he can do it. 2 weeks in a row that Michel's been the lead back, they've done it. And Joe talked about it. If Darrell Henderson comes back, will they stick to the run? He religiously said that last week. If Darrell Henderson comes back, will you stick Michel's in there? He has no problem doing it. I don't know what the difference is in the 2 guys. I don't see why McVay trusts one over. So, as far as Cooper Kupp, man, that guy, I think he's catching balls in double coverage. Stafford have some kind of connection. It's unreal. He's throwing the ball before he's even out of the routes.
Okay, let's look at the playoff picture real quick before we get into some games. In NFC, your top 4 teams are the Packers at number 1, Buccaneers at 2, Cardinals at 3, Dallas at 4, the Rams at 5, 49ers at 6, and the Washington football team is at 7. Who's getting the number 1 seed, and who is the best team in the NFC as of right now?
Number 1 seed, for some reason, I feel like it's going to go to Green Bay.
Green Bay's got some tough
Right
games
now,
coming up.
I know, but Aaron Rodgers always finds a way to win. I don't get it. He's great in the regular season. It's the postseason you got to worry about.
The division
For some reason, somehow they're going to sneak by. Somehow they're going to sneak by and win. They're going to be the number 1 seed. And right now, I think Tampa Bay is firing on all cylinders in the NFC. I mean, Tom Brady and Godwin are doing crazy things. Like what, he's got 20-something catches in 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got in the middle, Leonard Fournette. Looks like he's playoff Lenny already. I mean, he's doing it all. He's catching more out of the backfield. I just think that team's hungry. I also don't think Tampa Bay is going to play everybody the last couple of weeks when they've already won the division. It just depends on what happens with Green Bay. That's where it's getting sticky. Those top 3 teams are all tied with 10-3 right now. 4 games left, right?
Except for Dallas is 9-4.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3 teams. Sorry, the 3 teams. Yeah, but Dallas might sneak in there too if they play all their players. I mean, it sounds the way Dallas's defense is playing. As long as one player is on the field, they could win the rest of the games. We'll talk about that later, obviously. So, but that's my opinion. What do you think?
People are on this Packer bandwagon, and somehow they will probably get the number 1 overall seed just because they always do for some reason. But I disagree with you on one point. I don't think the Buccaneers are gonna. I don't think they're going to sit their players at that 1 seed on the line because Tom Brady's not want to go to Lambeau. Because last year they went to Lambeau, but that was without fans, right? Well, actually, no, they had fans, but it was like a limited capacity. But with the full Lambeau in that trench cold, trust me, Tom Brady's going to want to play in Tampa Bay all throughout the playoffs. He's going to want that, stay in this home cold, warm weather and stuff. Cardinals, I think they're rallying. I don't even think they're going to hold on to the NFC West title. I think the Rams might overtake them on that. That game just got a little bit more inches. Cowboys can take care of business this week and next week. And then that Arizona game is going to come vital. Who's going to get that 3 seed or knock Arizona out of the AFC West? But, I mean, if Cowboys win out and they have one other slip up between any of these, like these 3 teams that I just mentioned, the Cardinals, the Packers, and the Buccaneers, Cowboys could be – I mean, they have the best conference record out of all those teams, and they have the tiebreaker. They only lost 1 conference game all year, and so they could easily be there. But we'll hold on to that. We have RJ Ochoa in the house, Cowboy Insider. Is he there?
Yeah. What's going on, guys?
Oh, what's up?
Great to be with y'all. Sorry for being late. Very excited. Thrilled, really.
Oh, here we go.
And yeah, I mean, you know, that's a rosy picture to paint for the Cowboys, I think. Certainly this week, there's a lot of people who are down on them.
Well, RJ Ochoa, I've been following you. Rock the Mic Chat, I think season 1, right? First winner?
That's right, yeah. Back in 2016, very fortunate, very blessed. One Rock the Mic. It changed my life. I've told people every year since then, certainly go be part of it, shoot your shot. You never know what's going to happen. Really thankful to the guys. You know, Jason Minix, Rob Thompson, at the time, Ari Temkin, David Chancellor, even, just were all really great to me. And so it really is a special thing to me.
Yeah, I remember, I think that's when I started following, was on that Rock the Mic thing. And then the Saturday morning hangover with James Pleasure.
Yeah, Pledge is the man.
Then I followed you on ESPN SA, and then you moved to Blogging the Boys, where you're chief and everything. You're the boss man, I guess, over there now. Really good stuff. If you ever have a chance, go check out his articles, RJ's articles at Blogging the Boys. He has everything you need to know about the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, this guy's a phenomenal. I retweet almost everything of yours. You have everything I need to know and make me feel better about the games. But my question is to you real quick. What the heck is going on with Dak Prescott right now? Is it a mental thing? Is it a physical thing? Is he injured? Is he just scared not to because he's been turning the ball over more? He's afraid to take chances. Is it just mental in your head, or what are you seeing in your side over there?
Obviously the trouble really began when he came back from the calf injury. And so a lot of people, kind of point to that. That's a real kind of logical two dots to connect. And the broadcast touched on this on Sunday. Teams are blitzing him less, and that's affecting him. He's there's less traffic up front, so there's more traffic, where he's trying to throw, where he's trying to put things. He's got more time, idle hands are not necessarily the best thing, in a lot of respects in life. And so I think a lot of that is messing with him. Obviously, receivers are dropping balls more. Cowboys receivers are dropping balls at like 4 times the rate than they were the first 6 weeks of the season. The offensive line, despite the fact that they're not being blitzed as often, are still allowing more pressures. So it's a gazpacho, I think, of bad. It's, you're getting pressured. Your receivers are dropping passes. There's more people in traffic because they're not blitzing. And so it has all created this funk that they just can't get out of. You can call it a blueprint. You can call it a recipe, whatever, but it is the way to maybe not stop him, because they've obviously won some games, but certainly to inhibit what he's able to accomplish as far as his own personal skill and his own personal assets.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But I mean, at the same time, when you're struggling, and Mike McCarthy said this earlier in the year, or last year, I guess, in training camp, we want to be a running football team because that's how you win playoff games in January, February, and stuff. But the problem with that right now is Zeke has a banged up knee. He's limping all over the field. Pollard has a broken foot. He don't know how he's going to be. So I know Dak I know he's worried about his calf and that broken ankle, dislocated ankle and stuff like that. But I'm watching replays of games and stuff, and I'm seeing like 20 yards of open field grass. Well, we want him to run the ball, and I just wish he would. And is that kind of affecting that would open up the run game a little bit more and make the linebackers come in and help. I think that would open up the passing game a little bit more. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would love it. It's also terrifying when he does it, right? And, somebody tweeted at us during the game and said, well, why doesn't he run more? And, and we said, the answer we said was, we know why. We all know why he doesn't run. And, and that's it, right? It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to justify. I mean, it's football. It's, there's collisions happening every moment. Your season can be taken away in an instant. And it's, I think people also, this starts to happen when you get later in the year, but people think like, after a team loses in the playoffs, people think like, okay, we just got to get back and address this. If a team gets like gashed, in the run game, they think like, we just got to draft some interior linemen. We got to beef up the middle and that's it. Problem solved. And it never works that way. It is so difficult to get back. You have to climb the ladder all over again. It is so hard. Everybody's doing their Christmas shopping. It's so hard to get to Christmas time and have your season mean something. And so they're here now. They're here and they've caught this thing. It's kind of like when you're trying to catch an animal like your dog or something. You don't want it to run away, and you're right there about to grab the leash. And if you go too fast, if you go too aggressively, the dog's going to run away, and you've lost that moment. And so it's a really delicate thing, and that's why it sounds stupid to say he shouldn't run when that will clearly help this offense. But I mean, they are so close to playing really, truly, absolutely meaningful football. And so I get it. I get being afraid of the intensity of it all.
Will, do you have a question?
I mean, I understand the being scared, but if you've watched the last couple of weeks, Kyler Murray's had an ankle injury. He started running more. That team started doing better, a little bit better. Same with Josh Allen. Like all year, Josh Allen hasn't been running. Now all of a sudden, the last couple of games, he's ran the ball because they don't want him to run either for the same reasons. I mean, isn't there a happy medium? He should release 30 yards, something to help do something to make those linebackers hesitate to do something.
I think
there
not
is. Just sit there and throw it away.
That would be the goal, right? Is you don't have to be Lamar Jackson, right? Like nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying like run all the time, die forward, whatever. But I mean, he's human, right? Like Kellen Moore's human, Mike McCarthy's human. Like we all have scar tissue from last season. It was a year ago today or yesterday. that the Cowboys beat the Bengals with Andy Dalton. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Mike McCarthy in his post-game press conference after Sunday was asked, the question was basically, look, this defense is awesome. Like, it's the total opposite of last year. Like, how does that make you feel? And he joked, he said, well, thanks for the trip down memory lane. And that's, those, Christmas a year ago feels so far in our minds, but that is still so fresh to them. And so while, if there is a happy medium, and I think there is, if you're going to lean one direction, you're going to lean conservative, right? And that's where they're at. I mean, and it's also fair, I think, to that they're playing this way conservatively, and they're a game back of everybody in the NFC. I mean, theoretically, they are. It would take an absolute utter collapse for them to not win their division. And so, I mean, they're not. They're not playing with house money. They have a lot to lose. And so even a happy medium is an enormous risk when you have a lot to lose. Now, to your point, the Cardinals have a lot to lose. A lot of people have a lot to lose here, but you don't know what this Cowboys team is going to look like next year. And that's the case for everybody. But is Michael Gallup going to be back? Is Randy Gregory going to be back? Is Dalton Schultz going to be back? I mean, is Kellen Moore going to be back? Is Dan Quinn going to be back? I mean, you have to, there is a balance, there is a medium, and it's impossible to find. And every team spends the entire season trying to find it. One ultimately does, and it's obviously the team that wins it all.
Great point right there. But I'll get to that defense in a minute because I want to talk about that defense and Michael Parsons. But I want to talk about our left tackle, Tyron Smith. Is there been, man, I was listening to the Blitz today, and Rob Thompson made this point. He's like going to be that old uncle, like, hey, how are you doing today? Well, let me tell you, my knee hurts. This, like, he's like like he doesn't want to play hurt. Like, I'm starting to get that sense a little bit. I know it just seems like it's a reoccurring thing. Like, any little thing will keep him out. And I don't know if you see it, but is it time for the Cowboys to move on from Tyron Smith with his age and the salary cap and everything like that?
They can move on from him financially this offseason, and there's merit to that. But what's your answer, right? Like, what are you doing? You're trotting Terrence Steele out there for an entire season, and you mentioned Micah Parsons. They, at the time, a lot of people said, what are you doing drafting Micah Parsons? Draft Rashawn Slater. Tyron Smith's always hurt. This is the bottom's going to fall out here. And so, I mean, you don't want to move on unless you have another option. Tyron Smith is 31 years old. I mean, I know it feels like he is ancient because of his, injuries and whatnot, but he's 31 years old and he's in his 11th NFL season. He was he was 20 when he was drafted. And so, I mean, it's hard. I think if the Cowboys, and I think the decision was, and we talked about this, leading up to the draft, if you had to trust one person at their respective position when you were on the clock for the second time when they traded back, and you could have Micah Parsons or you could have Rashawn Slater, where would you place that trust? In Tyron Smith, and that includes his injury potential, which obviously is not great, or Leighton Vander Esch? And I would have 100 out of 100 times trusted Tyron Smith. And so they did. And so you can't have superstar baller, amazing guys who never get injured at every single position. That's just not the nature of the game. And so, yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, they'll find somebody to replace him. But, and they're not going to have a top 10 pick. They're not going to have a top 20 pick in all likelihood. Obviously we hope it's a 32nd pick, but you're not going to get a premium tackle there. You're going to have to throw some other resources at that in free agency. And that's something that we haven't seen them do. Their most expensive signing along the offensive line lately, has been Ty Nsekhe, who's been awful this year. And so there's a level of evaluation that's necessary because dudes like who he is do not come along every year. I mean, he's a freak. And so he's a once in a decade type of guy. And that's only if you're picking in the top 10, which they happen to be 10 years ago.
And that's why I need to follow RJ Ochoa, man, because he gives you all the insight. That's why he's blogging the boys. That's why he's a Cowboy insider, baby. I love it. Will, you have another question?
I mean, was there any concern drafting Micah Parsons with any of the stuff about him and how he was at Penn State and stuff like that?
So there was the
credibility,
character concerns.
His personality.
Yeah, he had the character concerns. Obviously, he didn't play last year as he opted out, but there were the character concerns, and they were there, and that was fair. And I think it looks awesome now, right? And the Cowboys are, now it's like, we knew he was the best defensive player on our board, and obviously, you look smart when you say things like that now. But it's important context, like for the history books, that they got wiped out. I mean, they were sitting at 10 overall. And every mock draft you read had Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn going to them. One of them sneaking past, because I think a lot of people thought that Carolina or Denver was going to take Justin Fields, and neither of them did. Carolina took J.C. Horn, and Denver took Patrick Surtain. And we had a live show going that night on our YouTube channel, Blog on the Boys. And I said, just kind of to our commenters, I said, what's the move here? And like every comment, like trade back. And just because it was a panic, that was the absolute panic, worst case scenario. And so, so they trade back, they buy themselves time. They send Devontae Smith to Philadelphia. New York trades back, and Justin Fields goes to Chicago. And then it's, what do you want to do? Do you believe in Tyron Smith staying healthy? Do you believe in Rashawn Slater, or do you think this guy can be something special? And from aside from Micah's character concerns, which he has, I think, completely dispelled as far as his time in the NFL, he's been, a great example of an NFL player. But from a resource standpoint, I know they took him at 12, but he was effectively a top 10 pick, and you just cannot take a linebacker there. That's just not a great utilization of that, that premium of a resource. And so, at the time when they did pick him, we said on our show, we said, look, the only way this is worth it, the only way this is justifiable is if he is your super freak, if he never comes off the field, if he's rushing the passer, if he's dropping back into coverage, if he's doing it all. And amazingly, that is who he has become. So there were definitely worries, but amazingly, again, he has kind of dispelled all of them, which is part of his story, part of why he's such an amazing draft pick and home run type of guy, that he's just been this delight. He's been this delightful player, this delightful young man that has also been this baller on the field.
Yeah, like you talked about those character issues, that he put that all on the backside of like the wayside, like back in the past, because all you see right now is he wants to play. Like, he has a lot on his plate right now, man. Like, he's defensive end, middle linebacker, like back in the second. He has a lot. But Dan Quinn's like, he's texting him at 9:30 in the morning. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do? Like, he wants to play. And then the preseason games, you're starting to see, like, he didn't want to come out after the first series. He just wants to win, and that's what you're seeing. But I'm with you. I was one of those guys. I wanted Patrick Surtain. I was like, dude, because to that time I didn't know. Like, we had Trayvon Diggs, and I didn't know about our other corners. And I'm like, dude, we got lit up last year. If you put Trayvon Diggs and Patrick Surtain for the next 4 or 5 years, good luck passing the ball against this Dallas Cowboys defense. But now they look like great, and I'm happy that the Broncos picked Patrick Surtain because of that reason. Michael Parsons is just a beast. I'm going to stay with Michael Parsons real quick. In your estimation, is he going to get the rookie defensive player of the year and MVP?
So if I had to bet, I would bet y'all's money, not mine. But if I had to, I would bet he's winning defensive rookie of the year. I would bet he probably doesn't win defensive player of the year. And I know that that upsets people. But there's an important detail to this is there's so much narrative. There's a lot of narrative that goes into these awards, particularly MVP. MVP goes as an example to the best quarterback on a successful team, right? Like you have to check those boxes to win MVP. And another, I think, important detail is people generally don't win multiple awards, because MVP is a quarterback. That person doesn't win offensive player of the year. In 2016, Dak won offensive rookie of the year, but Zeke as a fellow rookie won offensive player of the year. The NFL generally doesn't, give one guy all of these awards. And Micah certainly deserving of defensive player of the year. Obviously, again, rookie of the year is a foregone conclusion at this point. I mean, the voters generally kind of, put dudes in boxes, I think. And so I could see the narrative of itself playing itself out. Like, okay, we'll give Micah his defensive rookie of the year. He's a freak. He's awesome. He's amazing. He'll be back. He'll be back. He'll pick up 1 or 2 or 3 of these along the rest of his career. But, we don't want to give 2 awards to one guy. We'll give this to Myles Garrett. Because that's the thing, like how the Browns finish the season is going to impact that. Because if they're not a playoff team, if they fold, if the Ravens beat them, or not the Ravens, excuse me. But if they already beat the Ravens, if they lose, they falter down the stretch, and they're not in the playoffs, that affects that. That's why I don't think TJ Watt wins this, because they're probably not going to be a playoff team. So some of it's out of Micah's control. And that's why I would bet on it not happening, just because they generally don't tend to kind of do things that way, even though it doesn't make sense the way they think sometimes.
Well, I would give him he's going to win defensive rookie of the year, but then Trayvon Diggs gets defensive player of the year. But that's probably not going to happen. I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But Trayvon's kind of went back a little bit these last couple of weeks. I mean, as many interceptions that Trayvon Diggs has had, he's also given up the most yards, I think, to his receivers because he makes that gamble and stuff like that. Real quick, I know you're a busy man, and thank you for joining us, but I just want one more. Cowboys right now in the 4th seed. Do you see them moving up in the next 4 weeks?
I think they're going to win their next 2 games. So they'll beat New York on Sunday, and they'll beat Washington next week. And so by that point they'll be division winners. And so they'll be locked into a home game. I think it will come down to the Arizona game. And obviously, you've got some things happening across the NFL and some things, like does Lamar Jackson play this week? Can he beat the Packers? There's a lot, going on there. Can the Saints beat the Bucks on Sunday Night Football? They've obviously kind of had their number, but if the Cowboys win out, they're not the 4th seed because they would hold the tiebreaker over Arizona by having beat them. What I think is really interesting, I do think we're going to end up in a world where they are locked into their playoff position, especially if they lose to Arizona, but for that Week 18 game against Philly. That game's at Philadelphia. And so you could see it if you play with simulators and stuff enough, you could see a world where that game in Philly in Week 18 is meaningless for the Cowboys. And obviously they won't have the first round bye. I mean, I know they're in the race. I don't think they'll get the first round bye, but so that game's meaningless. And they say, you know what? We don't have a bye. We got to rest everybody before we host the Rams or whoever it is next week in the wild card. Let's rest everybody against Philly. And if Philly's got, Washington this week, they say they win that game. Philly also obviously gets the Giants again next week. Say they win that game, and then they get Washington again. Say they win that game. I mean, that could be a win and in game for the Eagles, and it could be a meaningless game for the Cowboys. So I'll actually ask you two, if it were you and you were the Cowboys and you had nothing to play for, but the Eagles needed it to get into the playoffs, would you play?
Me, I wouldn't. The way the season's going and everything, no, I wouldn't play.
So you'd be fine letting the Eagles in?
Yeah, because I'm confident enough that we'll beat the Eagles in the playoff. Like if it came down to that, like I said, the Eagles, because I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to lead he's okay, but he's not great. You know what I mean? He's not going to lead them to a Super Bowl by any stretch. I mean, they're not that great of a team. I'm more of a mind. Cowboys have bigger and better things, and I think that getting a bye and getting just using that Week 18 as a bye, getting Dak's calf injury healthy again, getting Zeke's knee healthy again, Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Tyron Smith, everyone just getting healthy again because that one extra week off. Yeah, you're going to have that rest versus rust thing, right? But I'd rather have you have that home playoff game. You're going to have the Dallas Cowboys crowd who's louder than ever right now because they love this team. And they say this team's a lot different than other teams, that this is the year they're going to prove it. That's why I would do it. If it was like, if you would ask me this in 2018, no, I would not want the Eagles in. But right now, I just don't think the Eagles are that great of a team. And I honestly don't think that they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to have another slip up between Washington. I think they're going to lose one of those Washington games. I don't think they're going to get in. I think Washington's going to get that last playoff spot.
Will, what would you do? If it's me, I'm taking my Cowboys benches to Philly and I'm playing. I'm not trying to let a rival into the playoffs. Smash hope teams, take it all. I mean, I'm sorry, because if you beat them once, you beat them, and we know the Cowboys struggle in the playoffs. So I'm not trying to play one of my rivals for a time. We see it all the time in multiple divisions, just this division. I mean, I'm from Texas originally. I don't live there anymore, but enough. Like you don't let one of your rivals that in. You take your benches, you ship them to Philly on FedEx, and you play your hold as much as possible. You may not have the fourth quarter, but just split everything up, do whatever you got to do to win. Give those extra. I'm not a person of that rust thing, especially with this team. I think this team needs to keep playing going.
That's well said. I mean, y'all's motto, you have a problem with that. No mercy. There's no mercy there. I like that. I mean, I would rest guys too, but I'm not as brave as you are, obviously. So
no. I mean, it's easy to say that right now, but if you're a general manager and a head coach of this team, I guarantee your answer will be different. Especially with the injury from the COVID and everything like that. Like, nope, you're staying home, stay at home. I'm sorry, but the case. I know. Anyway, RJ, I know you're a busy man. I know you're busy tonight. Thank you for taking your time. But one thing I do want to say to you, one thing I do enjoy besides sports wise, is the way your faith. I love. I get your emails on your daily faith, and I loved how you went to. Can you just say, because I'm kind of jealous because you went to the Jordan River and got baptized in it, and I always wanted to do it. How was that? That's all I wanted.
I appreciate you asking. I appreciate you following along, and my faith is obviously something that means a lot to me. Means everything to me. You know, you mentioned I one rock the mic. I mean, that was all God's timing and God's provision. You know, every little bit of growth I had, you know, with the guys in San Antonio was really divine. I mean, the first year that I was around was 2016. It was Dak and Zeke's rookie year, and I happened to be the Cowboys guy, and so that was just a really incredible blessing from God to give me this opportunity. And again, you know, at the time they had multiple shows with Ari and Chance, and it gave me more opportunities to fill in and things like that. But in the summer of 2019. My family and I went to Israel for about a week and a half, and we went to Rome to finish out that 2-week run. And there's a much longer story involved, but yeah, I'm an only child, and my parents got divorced when I was 14. And in the fall, you know, about 9 months before that summer, my dad and I were talking on the phone one night, and he asked me and my now wife, with my girlfriend at the time, you know, he said, "How would you guys feel about going to Israel in the summer?" And I was like, "Oh, you know, that sounds awesome. That sounds great. You know, we would love to go." And I said, "By the way, you know that, you know, that's always been Mom's dream vacation, because my mom has been really devout in her faith my whole life, and certainly when my parents got divorced." And he said, "Yeah, well, she's going too." And I was just kind of like, "What?" Like I had no, I was, what are you talking about? Like, you know, we're all going to go. Like, you know, what's happening here? And that he was just like, yeah. And so, you know, that was the fall of 2018. And so my parents, you know, over the course of the next year, if you want to call it dated, which is a weird way to put it, but, and got back together, got remarried. And my life kind of, you know, my wife and I got married right before they got remarried. And so it felt like my life kind of came back to where I was in 2014. And that all happened right before we went. And so it was this really kind of just great culmination for me to go with my mom and dad and my wife, and we went to the Jordan River. Among the things we did, and we got baptized there, and just it was this really intense experience to be baptized where Jesus was, to walk where he did, to see the things, to walk through the Garden of Gethsemane. You know, I mean, it's a really, you know, spiritual is an obvious word, experience. And we had this incredible guide whose name was Barak, and I love so much about what he did and taught us. Everything he did was founded in, I don't want to say in science, but almost in archaeology. He proved so many things. He justified how so many things happened, and proved how these were not fairy tales. These were not stories. These were concrete points and moments in history that really happened. And so seeing it up close and personal really changed my life. And again, the magnitude of the moment, being there with my parents and my wife, was really intense. And so it's a really special memory for me, and one that I hold very near and dear to my heart.
That's awesome. That's God, like you said, man. God's amazing God, and it's just awesome how I worked out in life. And I'm jealous because I always want to go to Israel, but I'm poor and I know it's expensive. So,
well, and I don't know what it's like now. You know, we went, you know, summer of 2019, obviously. In 6 months, 7-8 months later, the world changed, and so I don't know what that's like now. I imagine it's a more difficult proposition, but it's very, very, it's everything you want it to be. Like, there are very few things you do in life that you build up in your head and become or are what you want them to be. It's everything you want it to be. I hope you do get to go someday.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story with us. I really appreciate it. And I'll also thank you for coming. I know you're a busy man. I know you're a busy night. Thank you for spending time with us and giving us perspective on the Cowboys. I know a lot of people on this show don't like the Cowboys. I'm the only Cowboy lover on the show, but I appreciate your insight. Like I said, go follow RJ Ochoa at Twitter at RJ Ochoa. And also he has his own podcast. I forgot what it's called.
There's a lot, you know, we have a lot going on. So,
but make sure you go blogging the boys. That's your real treat if you need to go follow any Cowboy news or anything. Blogging the boys have you covered. And that's RJ. RJ, again, I appreciate you, man. I know you're a busy, man. Thanks a million, man. I apprite it.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. I'm certainly hoping the Cowboys have a season over the rest of it worth talking about. So anytime, I would love to. Sorry about being late, but really appreciate you guys working with me. And so I hope you and your families have a Merry Christmas. And again, hope the Cowboys win the Super Bowl and everything works out.
All right. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
That was RJ Ochoa, Blogging the Boys. Great interview, man. That guy knows his Cowboy stuff, man. Are you a fan now, Will?
I'm not a fan, but
he said with.
but Whether you're a fan or
so-
not, once you get the inside information, it alters your mindset on any team. It doesn't like them or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm trying to get
Back-
other teams involved too. So if you're watching any insiders, please, because I want insight on all these teams. It's amazing. I don't care. That's why I like doing this stuff. All right, let's run through some games real quick. Let's make this fast, Will. Let's just pick games. Chiefs, Chargers, AFC West up for grabs. Who do you have tonight or Thursday night? Whoever wins is in first place of the AFC. Chiefs or Chargers?
Chiefs, revenge game, Chiefs. Defense is playing really good. Chiefs.
I'm going with Chargers here. I think Chargers are got it back on the winning track. I think their defense is playing better, and I think that Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, if he's playing the Raiders, he looks like the old Patrick Mahomes, right? But other than that, he has not been Patrick Mahomes, and that defense has been stepping up games. Give me the Chargers in this one as well. Antonio Lopez is saying Chargers. Yes, he agrees with me. Thank you, man. Whatever. Real quick. Raiders, Browns. I thought this was going to be an intriguing matchup, but the Raiders are going bye-bye. They had a good win against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, but ever since then, it's just been bye-bye because apparently they want to dance on other team's logo and they don't want to walk to walk and talk to talk. Browns are dealing with COVID issues and stuff. Who do you have? It's a pick 'em game for me. I don't care.
It's a pick 'em. Let's go old school. Home field, we'll go Browns.
I'll go Browns too, just because I want them to win.
Yeah, something right.
I'll pick the Browns too because I want them to win the AFC North, just because my dad's a Steeler fan and I want to go against them. And I think the Ravens' luck has run out, and I think Lamar Jackson has that ankle injury. I think it's going to be too much to overcome. Give me that as well. Antonio says, "Go Raiders." Okay, I'll talk to you later about that one, Antonio. And then the Saturday night capper, this is going to be a good game. Patriots versus Colts. Patriots coming after a bye. They're the number one seed in the AFC of all. I cannot believe we're saying that. Mac Jones is looking phenomenal right now. Colts, what Carson Wentz are you going to get? Who are you picking in this game?
This is a tough one for me because if Jonathan Taylor can be Jonathan Taylor, they win. That's what it is. I don't care about quarterback is. It's all about Jonathan Taylor. Give me the Patriots by less than a field goal. I think Mac Jones does what he does. I think he throws 20 passes this week. Increases his number of passes.
Man, I'm going Patriots. I want the Colts to win this game, but giving Bill Belichick after a bye week, 2 weeks to prepare for you, good luck. I'm going Patriots.
Right. And their run
all right,
game
we got
is good.
Yes.
I mean,
all right, we got Titans facing the Steelers. Steelers need a win to stay alive in the AFC North and also in the playoff picture. Right now, they're on the outside looking in. Titans. I don't know what to think of them. I'm going Pittsburgh in this one. I'm going Pittsburgh because it's like one of those games like everyone's dogging the Steelers, right? They got that mini bye. I think it's going to help Ben Roethlisberger. I think they're going to get Najee Harris involved. I don't know if Julio Jones is going to play or not. I give me Pittsburgh in this one in an upset. All right. The game of the year, Texans, Jags. Who do you got? If you want to pick this one, just pick a team. No one cares about this game.
Let's go Urban Meyer.
I'll go Urban Meyer too, just because all the bad stuff is. Give them 3 wins, and Trevor Lawrence has a good game against the Texans. I think the Texans are tanking for some other reason. All right, I would say this is a bad game too, but man, the Dolphins have won 5 straight games. They are now in the playoff picture. They are right there. Jets, you don't know what you're going to get week in, week out from them. You have the Dolphins winning this one?
Yeah, Dolphins for sure.
Antonio, they spoiled Milk Bowl. Oh, I love it, man. All right. I'm going Dolphins in this one. I think they're going to get in the playoff picture. For some reason, I think it'll be awesome if the Dolphins get in the playoffs. It'd just be everyone was jumping ship on Brian Flores. He's like, he sucks as a coach, but look now, after the trade deadline, After they said, Tua, you're our guy. Look what Tua's been. He's been playing better. Waddle's been playing better. The offensive line, that defense is stepping up. Give me the Dolphins in this one. All right. Washington football team, after their devastating butt whooping over the Dallas Cowboys last weekend, even though it was a close game at the end, Dak Prescott tried to do everything imaginable, try to get them back in the game. They go to the Eagles. Dallas, if the Eagles beat the Washington football teams and you beat the Giants, Dallas is in the division champions. Who do you have in this one? You got the football team, or you have the Eagles sliding in there and getting a playoff spot?
For you, I want Washington to win so your boys can rest in the last week.
Well, it depends on where they are, man. They have a chance for that number 1 seed. They'd have to play, but if they're locked in that one spot, nah, they're not playing. I actually like the Eagles in this one, coming off a bye week. Washington football team, I don't know if McLaurin's going to play. He had a bad concussion against the Cowboys. Henneke I don't know if he's even going to play. He got injured. Give me the Eagles in this one. I think that they actually do win this one. Let's see.
They probably will, but
the football team is a hot garbage. Go Cowboys. All right, Cardinals with the devastating loss against the Rams yesterday. They get to go and face the Lions. Lions have a shot to get the second victory of the year?
No. This is going to be a get-right game. I think Kyler's going to rush for another 50 yards. This is going to be one of those games where we get to see if Hopkins really is hurt. There's still reports on him with that leg injury. He's not performing like he was. They're not throwing it at him. This game right here is going to help Hopkins and Edmund back into it since he just came back from injury as well. I think this is just going to be one of those games. Who's past the Lions?
Yeah, give me the Cardinals. I think the Lions are going to make it close, but the Cardinals are undefeated on the road. Give me the Cardinals in this one. I think they show up, and I think Murray has a bounce-back game. All right, Panthers versus Bills. Bills are struggling right now. Not because of Josh Allen. Josh Allen balled out against the Buccaneers. It's almost single-handedly carried that team back to a victory against the Buccaneers. Just wasn't enough. Panthers lose to the Atlanta Falcons, for goodness sake. I mean, my God. Loser of this one's – let's just say both teams need to win. Bills are still in the playoff hanging on to that 7 seed, but Panthers, they look like a mess right now without Christian McCaffrey. Panthers upset the Bills, or Bills get back on track?
Bills back on track. The Panthers offense just looks horrible with Cam Newton back there. They're getting away from the run. They're trying to use him as a running back, not a quarterback. He's throwing 35% of his passes. They're going to DJ Moore. So, I mean, if you take DJ Moore out of the picture, little bracket him, the only other thing they're going to do is run Cam. They're not using Hubbard. They're not using Abdullah. This team just looks very one-dimensional with Cam there. So, give me the Bills.
Yeah, Bills. I mean, Cam Newton's doing a little bit here and there, but I just think Christian McCaffrey lists Panthers. I think it's just too much. Matt Rule, everyone was coach of the year. Now he's not looking very good. Give me the Bills on this one to get back on track. All right, I don't have it up here, but real quick, Cowboys facing the Danny Dimes-less Giants. You picking the Cowboys in that one?
Yeah. I mean, I think Saquon has a great game because he's getting better every game, but the Cowboys are going to win.
Yeah, give me I think it's going to be I don't think the Giants can score. That defense is going to hold up. I think it's a get-right game for Dak Prescott. I think he's going to get back on track this week. I think the running game might get back on track. Give me the Cowboys and then a good, easy win. All right, Bengals. Let me see. Bengals versus Broncos. Broncos trying to get back on the winning track after they're tough to – no, they won last week, right? Yeah, that's right. They played the Lions. The Bengals lost. That's who I'm trying to think of. The Bengals losing to the 49ers last week. Broncos, because of 88, Thomas passing away, they played a remarkable game. Broncos are not out of the AFC North or West playoff picture. Bengals are a team I can't figure out. They're a great team, but they're just too young. I don't know if they get back on track. I just don't understand Like they look great and then they look horrible. I don't know. That's a young team, I guess. But the Bengals are in the playoff picture. Broncos outside looking in. You're picking the Broncos, right?
I'm gonna pick the Broncos because I think that I can keep the ball out of hands as long as possible. They're going to control the clock and try to play some defense. I mean, with those right now, both looking like they've already for 1,000 yards this year or on pace to. Let's be honest. I think that's all the Broncos have right now. For some reason, Teddy's not on the page with the wide receivers, so give me those because they're going to try to control the clock and run the ball. They're going to have about 200, I feel like.
Yeah, give me the Bengals. I'll take the Broncos in this one just because I don't know what I'm going to get out of the Bengals. All right. Rudy's Falcons get the big victory to keep their playoff hopes alive. They're now at 6-7 on the outside looking in, but they're right there tied with the Washington football team for that last playoff spot with a bunch of other people. 49ers looking like a dangerous team. I just don't know about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not the quarterback of the future. I don't know why they're not playing Trey Lance, but that's neither here or there. Who do you have? You have the Falcons? Will?
No, give me George Kittle because he's averaging like 13 catches a game 2 weeks. As long as he's on the field, they win. Give me the Niners.
Give me the 49ers. It's at home. They're playing great. Their defense is playing. Debo Sanders going to have a monster game against the Falcons. I'm never picking the Falcons again because they blew my parlay a couple weeks ago and I would have won $400. But whatever the case may be, I'm done taking the Falcons. They break your heart every time. Sorry, Rudy. I'm going 49ers. I think Debo's got a good game. George Kittle's the best tight end. I'm sorry. Right now, George Kittle's the best tight end in football. What's there? Antonio says 49ers. So there we go. Man, there's a lot of good games on this weekend. Packers.
Yeah, finally.
Packers final. Aaron Rodgers wants everyone to know that he has a broken toe and wants everyone to feel sorry for him, I guess. I don't know this dude. This dude is just a mess. But Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he's questionable with the low ankle sprain. Thank God it's only low. But with both teams going in opposite, Packers are playing great football. Ravens, not so much. Ravens got to win to keep first place in the AFC North. Who do you have?
Give me Packers. I just think with the weather being cold and getting colder, and I just think Lamar's going to have issues with that ankle. You see what the Browns did. Control him a little bit. I mean, I know he went out early. He's making passes, but they weren't going to let him run around. I think there's a blueprint on how to beat him. So make him pass the ball, rush him, get up in his face, out of the pocket. I think the Packers can do that, and it's Aaron Rodgers. He always does.
I want to pick the Ravens, but I can't do it. Packers always break my heart. Somehow they always find ways to win. The Bears gave them a heck of a game last week, but the Bears just don't have enough. But the Packers, Ravens, like I've been saying, I think I love Lamar Jackson as a person, as a human being and everything like that. But I just believe that he's not a great quarterback. He's a running back at the quarterback position. Yeah, you might throw here and there with great accurate passes once in a while. But all you got to do is stop his running, like back to back. He can make him throw it. He cannot beat you throwing the ball. We saw that with Cleveland. I mean, he threw 4 interceptions against Cleveland, but Baker Mayfield didn't want to win the game for a reason. He just sucks. And then we saw that last week against the Browns as well. Give me the Packers, but I think it's going to be closer than the experts think. All right, Seahawks go to the SoFi to go face those Rams, the COVID Rams right now. Seahawks still alive in the playoff picture. If they win out, they have a chance. You picking the Seahawks to beat the Rams?
I'm going to say yes. This is going to be a hangover game for the Rams and the resurgence of Rashard Penny. He looked amazing last week, and this is why they drafted him where they drafted him. He just can't stay on the field. I think he's going to have another monster game, and somehow they squeak this game out. Keep their hopes alive and keep this guessing.
I'm picking Seahawks in this one. For some reason, they have it's always a close game. You can throw records on the number. It's going to be like I don't think it's going to be a 6-3 game or a 3-9 game, whatever the case may be. I think both teams are going to put up points. Rams are going through COVID. I don't think they're going to have a lot of their players. Seahawks maybe starting to get on the winning track a little bit. Had a get right game last week against Jacksonville. I'm going Seahawks. I think after that big emotional win on Monday night and then have to do a COVID, I think it's too much to overcome. I think the Seahawks actually get the win in this one. Saints go to Tampa Bay to face the Buccaneers. Are you buying Taysom Hill as the Saints' future quarterback and going into Tampa and beating those Buccaneers?
No, I'm buying into the mock draft that they're getting. They're drafting a quarterback because they don't have a quarterback because they're moving on. The Buccaneers.
See, I don't understand why they signed Taysom Hill to all that money. That was a stupid signing. I guess Sean Payton has a love affair with this guy because I don't understand that because he's not the same Taysom Hill, but he's not a good quarterback. You're right. I think the Saints are going to go look after the Deshaun Watson thing, see how the thing works out in February. You have Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and the trademark possibly. So, but right now, for some reason, the Saints have the Buccaneers number. I can't understand it. They beat them already once this year, but I think Buccaneers get the victory in Tampa Bay this week, Sunday night. All right, the Monday night game that no one really cares about: Vikings versus Bears. What Vikings team are we going to see? Are we going to see the team that gave the Lions the first victory, or are we going to see the team that looks like they can beat anybody in any given Sunday? Vikings, Bears, who do you have? Monday night.
I'm taking the Vikings. It's in Chicago. I just trust Kirk Cousins more than I trust Nagy coaching Justin Fields. I think they're going to – I thought Cook just had an amazing game against Pittsburgh, and he's going to use that to keep this team alive. And Justin Jefferson, if he's got one-on-one coverage, you know he's going to call. The second most yards in the league on one-on-one coverage. So give me the Vikings.
One thing I can guarantee you, it's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be a close game. The reason I say that is because the Vikings, all their games have been close games. They had it 29-0, they're 29-7 later or something like that against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then Pittsburgh was a hit away from winning that game or tying that game up. I actually like what I saw from Justin Fields and Matt Nagy against the Packers last week. I don't know it's just because of a rivalry game or whatever the case may be, but he actually used Justin Fields' ability to run the ball. Like the plays were they looked like a good offensive team at some times. If they can keep that up, look for the Vikings, because the Vikings, I don't know. I just don't know. They're like the Dallas Cowboys of old, like the past years. You just don't know what you're going to get from this team. They play to their competition, right? So I just believe that the Vikings, like you said, Dalvin Cook looked good against the Steelers, and then they come off that mini bye. He's going to get healthier. I think the Vikings win by 3 points.
I mean, I think it also depends on if Thielen comes back as well.
That's true. All right, it's late. Will's tired. He's already yawning. All right. Well, that's our show tonight, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for everything. Thank you to RJ Ochoa for coming in. Remember, go follow RJ Ochoa on Twitter at RJ Ochoa. Also, sign up for his emails for his daily faith and everything like that. It's a great reading stuff. I love reading about everything that's going on through his life, and makes me want to do better as well. So if you want any Cowboy Insider news, go follow Blogging the Boys on Twitter. Great insight as well over there. Appreciate RJ for coming on, being a great guest. Will, thank you again for everything. Gio, I don't know why you're not here. I guess he has a hangover after that Rams win last night. I don't know, but he didn't want to come and talk Cowboy talk, I guess, a little bit. But anyway, for Will, for Trey, this has been Sweep the League. We'll be back next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back next week.